Today, I am delighted to be chatting with two amazing women who happen to both be business owners, mothers, role models, and trailblazers. Lola Carwood and Carol Lathbridge are childhood friends who launched a brilliant sustainable hair extensions brand, Tiwani Heritage, in 2020. I recently spoke to Lola as part of our Founders Unite series through Virgin Unite, but the more we spoke, the more I wanted to learn more about their journey. So we've arranged this follow-up chat to go into more detail about their experience as Black female entrepreneurs who are raising children alongside their business. From hindsight wisdom to childcare grants, Lola and Carol have so much to offer aspiring entrepreneurs. Thank you both so much for joining me today. So Lola, when we caught up last time and I spoke about your journey, it really made me think about the wider opportunities and challenges that Black British business leaders are facing, not just in Britain actually, but all around the world. And I just wanted to pick your brains about whether you've seen any differences in the wake of George Floyd versus now. Has anything changed in the last 3 years?
2020 was a really unusual year for many reasons. And one of them was the murder of George Floyd. And what came immediately after that was a huge wave of a reawakening of the sort of Black Lives Matter movement. And that sort of trickled down into different aspects of Black Lives Mattering in terms of Black businesses, Black founders, and just trying to elevate people and give them that platform that they needed. So I think definitely immediately afterwards, it was absolutely a hot topic, and we benefited from it because we actually had launched just a few weeks prior to George Floyd. I think now we're sort of 2.5 years down the line and it's not high on the news agenda. I think there's still an appetite and an energy out there. I just think it's probably maybe something we need to work a little bit harder to find. But I definitely think that there's still energy out there for Black business for sure. So even if it's not necessarily an investor, so to speak, there's lots of companies that have come about since then. There's lots of opportunities. There are companies like Black Seed that launched in 2021 and are doing amazing things for Black founders. And I think in terms of what everyone can do, because I really do think it's a shared responsibility, is to just give Black businesses and people with ideas the platform to share them and talk about them. And also just, those founders doing their due diligence to find out what resources are out there and available.
And also what sort of networking opportunities so everyone can learn from each other as well.
Definitely.
The pandemic hit female entrepreneurs really hard, and particularly Black female founders as well. I know that you guys launched during the pandemic. How did you navigate all these additional challenges that were sort of piling on top of each other at that time?
It was very challenging, to say the least. I mean, we launched in the height of the pandemic. We also just had our babies a few weeks apart, and when we launched, our babies were just a couple of months old. And
what a time to launch!
Yeah, why not? The thing is, life just keeps going. There's never a perfect opportunity or moment to launch a business. This is what we found, and we had the idea 2 years prior to launching, have this sort of brand that Black, consumers in particular can sort of go to and feel that they've been looked after. Because oftentimes with the type of business we're in, you usually have to deal with faceless sort of suppliers, faceless manufacturers, faceless retailers. And we really didn't want to be that. We wanted our customers to sort of connect.
You guys can absolutely be that inspiration to other Black female founders out there, especially now the world's getting back to normal post-COVID. There are now resources and grants and networks. What sort of things are out there now that you could advise young people starting businesses, anybody actually starting businesses, that they can go to and they can access to help them along the way?
Number one advice, don't do it alone. There is a community out there, and we wish we knew that. As when we launched back in 2020, we just thought, right, let's just go with it, test the market. But if we had sort of tapped into Virgin, for example, Virgin Startup a year before, I think it would have definitely sort of helped us navigate certain challenges. So I would say definitely sort of tap into a community.
I imagine it's a bit of a snowball. Once you tap into a few resources, you get some networking events that you meet people and they explain to you other things that you can do.
We are very much happy members of the Virgin family, which has been great, but we've also been exposed to other aspects of sort of resources and support out there, such as Unlimited, which is a fund specifically for impact startups. And within their fund, they actually have a pot set aside for childcare. So helping with childcare fees while you get your business idea off the ground, which is amazing.
So important.
So incredible for us mothers who are, trying to juggle building our business with rising childcare costs. It's invaluable.
If you weren't looking to go down the funding route just yet, there's other sort of platforms such as Enterprise Nation, who have a massive community where you can enter competitions. We recently did one of their competitions, which was Small Business Goes Big, which was courtesy of Adobe Express, and we entered our ad, and it was one of the winning ads, and it literally got featured over 100 billboards across the UK. We did not know this when we first started out, and just imagine if we did that then.
So there's lots of information out there for people who have already started a business and need to sort of help develop further. But how do you give that encouragement to Black women who are out there to actually be entrepreneurs and think of starting businesses? What would your encouragement be to try and increase more Black women into entrepreneurship?
So we definitely would say to other Black founders, speak up. If you've got a dream, say it. A dream is a dream, but sometimes you just have to live it and to make it a reality. And I think a lot of Black founders, especially female founders, we sort of hold ourselves back because we don't believe in our strength and our power. But now is the time to kind of sort of say, we're here and we've got amazing things to show you and to change the world for the better and to be included in the storytelling.
Oh, I love that. It's sending shivers down my spine. You need to get that messaging out.
Your idea doesn't need to be this groundbreaking, amazing, newfangled thing. You could actually just be doing something that is actually quite simple. I often think that some of the best ideas are the simplest ones. And while, we're not asking anybody to try and reinvent the wheel, I think if you've got something to offer, if you've got a brand or an idea that has an edge in some way, even if that edge is simply you as the founder, I think go for it.
What you've just said, well, a lot of people will say, I can't be like that. Loads of people have imposter syndrome when they think they're not good enough, or when they're in an office, you say you couldn't speak up in your 9 to 5. But now you found the thing that you're really passionate about. It becomes much more easy to speak up. You often can feel in situations that you aren't good enough. Mm-hmm. And I know that everybody's experienced that. I definitely experienced it. I think everybody in the world will have experienced it at some point. Do you have any other tidbits of advice to try and help people overcome imposter syndrome?
We're going to share something with you here, Holly. We were this close to not taking part in the Collective Impact program simply because we didn't think we were ready. We got accepted and we were shocked, but definitely know your worth and know that you deserve that spot. So just shut it down, go in there, lift your head up high and say, I'm here. I'm here for you to see what I'm about.
Reminds me of my grandmother's saying, which is always, if you don't do it, you haven't done it. Which I thought was quite funny, but you've just got to keep on going. And if you do get knocked down, or if you hadn't been accepted, don't let failure stop you.
Exactly.
Keep trying and trying and trying again.
I think you get better as well at turning down the volume of the negative self-talk. The more experiences that you go through and the more experience that you have in your business, the more comfortable you get with talking about your business as well. I think, to be honest, I'm not sure imposter syndrome ever will fully go away. I think you'll always have an element of self-doubt and uncertainty depending on what the situation is. But I think as you build your confidence in talking more about your brand and as you go further along in your journey, you learn to sort of quiet that voice.
When it comes to being mothers and growing businesses or full-time working, I really know the juggle. It's real and it's difficult. And how are you guys finding the balance between the two? Balance is probably the wrong word.
Juggles definitely accurate. I think it will always be something that is somewhat of a challenge in terms of making sure that you're giving adequate time to each thing. I think try as well, just on an emotional level, not to feel guilty. Because at the end of the day, what you're trying to build is something that will benefit you and your children and your family in future.
With us, as I mentioned, we just had our babies and we still had our 9 to 5 plus photo shoots and, dealing with our manufacturers, the whole works. But, you make it happen. It wasn't easy, but we're so happy we got to this point because we feel that if we can do this, we can do anything. And so that's why I would say to mothers, we're incredible. we're incredible people, we're incredible beings, and you know, for us, we're built to kind of sort of be sustainable, and we're able to kind of sort of take on the world and literally, you know, fly.